Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm here to give you kind of my review, so to speak, of the Mortis Trials that dropped in Darktide a few days ago, the Nightmares and Visions update. I just wanted to quickly touch up on the difficulty. I've said it a couple times in previous videos with the Mortis Trials. When it comes down to difficulty settings, whether it's normal, malice, heresy, damnation, whatever it is, whatever you like to do, I think you're better off sticking to regular story missions because the difficulty there is on point with what it is you're picking. Here in Mortis Trials, it felt off, and what I mean by that is up until waves 10, 11, and 12, which are the last three waves, and I say last three and not last four because wave 9 is usually still as easy as wave 1, and that's because we don't really see the enemy types vary up until, or not vary, but they don't change up until those last three waves. If you look throughout the videos, and probably not just my video, or not just my channel, but any other Warhammer channel that has been posting this stuff, you're going to notice the same thing. Most of the waves are all Minoris threat level enemies, which is just the regular squishies, you know, the guys you can kill in one shot with your melee or ranged or whatever. We don't really see much of a threat within the waves up until those final three waves, and those final three waves, that's when the game decides to throw everything at you. All your specialists, like your gunners, your snipers, your carapace armored enemies, your flak armored enemies, obviously the ragers. I think they do go a little bit overboard, but I kind of wish they went even further than that. I don't even know what's further beyond overboard with throwing Reapers at you. You know, the enemy Ogryns. The three Ogryn types is the Reaper, the Bulwark, and the Crusher. Crusher being the most difficult of the three enemy Ogryns to fight because, you know, they're heavily armored, but they still die pretty easily if you know how to handle them. Then, of course, you got the Reapers. We don't actually see very many Reapers around, which is kind of strange. There's not a whole lot of threat to you as a player when they don't have a whole lot of ranged enemies being thrown at you. Reapers in particular, paired up with gunners, is a crazy combo to contend with, but we don't see that a whole often. Instead, when it comes down to Plague Ogryns, or not the Plague Ogryns, when it comes down to the Reapers and the Bulwarks and the Crushers, we see more Crushers paired with Bulwarks than we do Reapers, and that really does kind of kill the momentum of going into those final three waves because you're really expecting that difficulty to crank up, but I just don't see it. And it honestly feels like if you're playing on Damnation, it feels more like you're playing on Malice. If you're playing on Heresy, it feels more like you're playing on just normal. I don't even know what normal difficulty is called just because I never touch it, but that's what it feels like. It never felt like playing an actual Damnation mission as opposed to playing, you know, like an Auric level Damnation story mission. Those are crazy difficult. I've failed them as many times as I have beaten them. I mean, I've posted past Darktide videos where I've failed most of them, and a lot of them are always on Damnation. I even posted an Auric level Damnation mission. I failed that within, I think it was like 15 minutes or so. It's a lot different between the two, and I wish it wasn't. This mode, Mortis Trials, would be a really good example of getting getting your team ready to face those harder challenges, because, you know, you don't want to go into a story mission. You're choosing Auric level, you're choosing Damnation, you're going in with a modifier that's very difficult to contend with. Really got to put in a lot of strategy and making sure that your coherency is on point and all that. And I think that would be a good way. It's a good opportunity to play Mortis Trials for that, but it just doesn't offer that kind of challenge if you're looking for a way to step up your game or something like that. Mortis Trials just kind of feels more like something to kill the time, pass the time. I don't see this mode thriving anytime soon. I think the mode's actually going to quickly die down here soon. Maybe not die down to the point where it's dead, but to a point where it's going to be harder to find games unless you're going in with 3 other friends. It's kind of boring, to be frank, after doing it a couple times. There's not a whole lot of incentive to do it after you've completed the event. I'm going to assume that I completed the event because I'm not getting any more rewards for completing Mortis Trials, and I think that just actually comes down to completing Mortis Trials on each of the 4 difficulties, and then you'll get some rewards for it, because I've beaten it a few times on Damnation and Heresy. I'm not getting any more rewards for it. I think the last time it said I completed like a tier 4 reward. It gave me 50,000 Ordo dockets. It gave me extra plasteel and all that. Then I did a couple more games. I didn't see any more, so I'm going to assume I'm done with it. There is no way to track the event, at least as far as I know. There is no in-game tab that tells you like, hey, one of X amount of games completed Mortis Trials, complete these amount of Mortis Trials on this difficulty or whatever, get these rewards or such. I think the rewards are kind of more standard. There's no cosmetic rewards as far as I know, and I've done quite a few Mortis Trials. That's kind of a downside to this event. You can't actually track the event itself. You don't know where you're at or anything like that. It's not tracking like a penance does. So that's kind of like my other gripe with it. Now, as far as the long term goes, in the short term for now, the couple things I would like to see make its way into Mortis Trials, obviously, is Auric level missions as well as the Maelstrom missions. I think that is when we can actually hopefully see an increase in enemy activity, such as the waves, possibly even larger waves. I do want to see more specialists come in. Like I said before a few times, the specialists, as you see right now in this current gameplay, that's mostly what you see in those waves. It's just a whole bunch of very weak hordes. I want to see more specialists. It's Mortis Trials is supposed to be a veteran's wet dream, so to speak. It's supposed to be fun and chaotic. To be frank, it was fun. It did feel a bit chaotic in the first couple runs I did, but then after that it did get a bit stale pretty quickly, as opposed to doing the regular Darktide missions, the campaign missions, the story missions, whatever you want to call them. Those always are much more enjoyable, and it's not because of the different shooting galleries, but because the waves are always a little bit varied, even when you're not doing Damnation or Heresy. That's kind of my issue with it, is I want it to feel more challenging, especially when you're doing those higher difficulties. As you see here, a demon host. There actually was a demon host we did fight in Mortis Trials, so I think again, that's another good example of playing Mortis Trials to get good at the mainline focused missions in Darktide. You are going to be forced to fight a demon host, assuming a demon host actually appears. Demon host actually appeared for me in wave 12, the final wave, on a Damnation difficulty, and that's actually one thing I really want to touch up on. Everyone, and I mean everyone, every single team, save for a very minute few amount of teams I've come across, at least on Damnation, and of course the Auric level stuff, all the Maelstrom stuff, everyone always wants to avoid the demon host. The demon host is not a difficult mini boss to fight, so to speak. Although, to be frank, yeah, it all comes down to how much stamina you have, how good is your blocking, how well are you able to actually manage your stamina, because that's all it comes down to. The demon host cannot kill you until you run out of stamina, and then it's actually able to poke you pretty quickly, and then from there, basically, it's either 1 or 2 hits and you're down, depending on how much health you have. And usually, it's always best to have an Ogren, not only just an Ogren, but an Ogren who has the shield and the club and shield. I don't know what it's called specifically, but that's usually the best way to do it. Have the Ogren kite the demon host into a corner, and then the Ogren will just use the alternate fire, so to speak, on the shield, which is to just plant the shield on the ground. It doesn't cost stamina, so long as they're in a corner. They can kite the demon host infinitely, always keep it aggroed, and of course with it having the shield planted on the ground, I forget what that ability is called, but it is the best way to counter a demon host. That is the most optimal way to deal with the demon host. Otherwise, so long as you have someone, either you or a friend or a teammate or whoever, has fairly good amount of stamina, they got a weapon they're really familiar with, they should be able to keep the demon host from killing them. Though the final aspect of the demon host fight is, making sure you're good on your dodges too. If you can time a dodge, if you have a talent where you have a perfectly timed dodge to restore some stamina or some fortitude or something like that, that also helps too. That's why I'm saying the Ogren is the best way to deal with demon hosts, because when they plant the shield, it doesn't cost stamina, it doesn't drain their fortitude, basically. And so long as they have the new talent now, with the new talent overhaul that the Ogren's got, there's actually a talent there where if you're using the shield, or it actually helps if you use the shield, planting it, now you can block any attack, regardless if it was an unblockable or not. You can now block that attack, and it does help if you have that shield. I think if I remember right, that's what that talent does. And then to quickly touch up on the long term for Mortis Trials, and I'm sure that it's already been brought up before, but I am going to say it again, more maps. A good map rotation will increase the replayability aspect of it. This is a unique tile set to Mortis Trials. I have not seen this particular layout in any of the missions that are currently available. So unique tile sets specifically for Mortis Trials would be nice. I don't know why I refer to it as tile sets, but it's kind of a term I've always used for a while now, since Warframe. And then of course the other thing too is see it as more of a quality of life improvement, is just make the waves a little bit more varied, just add some more objectives, make the team move around the map more often. As you can see here and in previous videos, and I'm sure in any other video you'll find for Mortis Trials, the team is always going to be sitting in the center closest to the Medicaid station. We're always going to be dropping our ammo crates there. We're always going to be dropping our medical crates there. Anything that helps out the team, this is basically where we are. We sit here, jerk each other off, and just wait for all the waves to come towards us us. It's basically the Alamo. That's how everyone treats it. It's the Alamo, it's the last stand type of thing. We're always pretending we can't move anywhere else. And when that one player tries to move, especially in the later waves when it actually does start picking up a little bit, somehow that one player is always going to get downed, and then from there it's always just a rush to get to that player, and then when we get him up, everyone just goes back to the center like nothing happened. So again, that's kind of the one thing I would like to see, just more objectives, just to again keep the team moving. Keeping the team moving is a lot more fun, it's a lot more intense, it's always giving us something to do, especially when we have to focus more on the objective and less on the waves coming in. Once we have the time to actually catch our breath and focus on the enemies, suddenly we have an even larger amount of enemies coming towards us. That's one of the things I love about these higher difficulty missions. It's just the intensity and the sheer volume of waves of enemies that come at us, and it's always varied too, unless it's in Mortis Trials, of course. I just want to see like a relentless horde, just a horde, like in the final objective of a mission, especially when you're doing Maelstrom missions. The final mission, whether it's a boss or trying to do an objective type thing, you're constantly on the move. The waves are never ending. I don't even think it's waves. It's just the enemies just constantly respawn in droves. You never have time to catch your breath. You never have time to try and get to a Medicaid station. Barely have enough time to drop like an ammo pack or a Medicaid pack. It gets really, really intense. That's where you can really have your hero moments in this game. That's what I would love to see here in Mortis Trials, is a Maelstrom mission where it's simply called relentless mode, where you're not dealing with 12 waves of enemies. You're dealing with, I don't know, let's say like in half an hour survival mode type thing. The enemies are constantly coming at you. You have to really, really think about when you can go and pick up those batteries to open up the crates that allow you to get health, grenades, ammo, that kind of thing. The ammo crates, the Medicaid crates, maybe even trying to rush to the Medicaid station. I don't know. I would love to see something like that. I think that's what Mortis Trials really needs, is a relentless mode type thing. But anyway, that's kind of my whole spiel on Mortis Trials. It is a good addition to the game. I'm hoping that it does actually increase with quality. I do want to see the Auric level missions coming in, the Maelstrom missions, just really increase that difficulty. Maybe make the rewards a little bit more rewarding and such like that. So until then, thanks for watching this video. Tomorrow, at the time of this recording, is Saturday. Again, I'll drop another Warhammer video. Maybe I might do Vermintide, who knows. Either way, it's going to be Warhammer, it might just be more Darktide. Until then, thanks for watching this video. I guess I'll see you guys on that next video. Peace and goodbye.